I've hit the button. Big clap.
I know you said there's no need to do it these days, but it's still fun.
You just like doing it.
I find amusement in it.
Do you want to do the intro, Dan?
And welcome back. I was going to sing the Welcome Back, Cotter, but I was thinking about this in the car on the way, and I'm like, yeah, no, I can't sing, so I'm not going to bother. Welcome back to Pixels. You start it from that point too, don't you? Yeah, good. Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
Sure.
Oh, yeah, no, that was the laid out plan. But anyway, welcome back to Pixels and Pints. I'm Dan. I'm here with Pete.
Hello.
And Tom.
Hello.
And Loki's sitting under the camera, and fuck knows where Cara is.
Eating
Still
food.
eating.
Oh, she's still eating. Okay. Hello, Cara.
We like to start our podcast with the smell of fresh sachels of fish.
Freshly cracked cat food. It goes well with the first... I shouldn't be bagging it out already. I haven't even tried them yet. And I'm not talking about the Yulli's on. I'm talking about the very... Well, anyway, we talk about pop culture and beer, and mostly Australian beer, and today it's an Australian and New Zealand beers.
Cool.
So, yes.
Is it our belated Anzac recording?
Our belated... Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Good point. Yep, good point. So tonight we have a little difference. We have several beers tonight, so it's going to be a very beer-heavy one. But 3 of the 7 beers are... what did you call it? Ultra-low alcohol. Ultra-low alcohol beers from Big Drop Brewing. I haven't even read it, so I don't know where they're from. They're from Victoria. Docklands.
Do they do normal beer as well, or are they
I have no idea. That's
specialise
probably
in...
a Tom question.
No. All I've seen of them is their
So they
ultra low.
specialise in horrible beer. Cool.
Let's not call it horrible.
You haven't even tried it yet.
We can't call it horrible.
So judgmental.
Yeah, we can call it not our cup of tea.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
actually,
you'd be better off drinking said cup of tea.
Well, I've actually had... So we, at the brewery batch, we stock the Heaps Normal, which is another brand.
I think they're Queensland, those guys.
No, they're Sydney-based.
They're Sydney-based, are they? There you go.
Sydney boys.
Cool.
And they do an XPA, 0.5% as well. And I was like, fuck it, I'm going to try one shift. Cracked it. And it was like, it's nice when you're behind the bar and
You can actually have a beer without getting
you're
in
not meant
trouble
to be.
from
You're not meant to. Yeah,
licensing.
and I just cracked a can. It was really good. Like it had the flavors of an XPA, but it was just you could tell instantly as a pretty heavy beer drinker that you knew there was no booze character there. But it was one of those ones. If I was like if I had to drive, I'd happily sit on those. If it was like one of those scenarios where it's like,
I'll have 46 of those, please.
yeah, and then it equals
And then-
what? One schooner.
Yeah, and you can still drive.
One standard drink.
So the third one I bought, and I bought specifically because of you, it's a milk stout.
Cool.
So with Batch being the masters of the milk stout, I thought it would be interesting to throw that one in there. We've done
Yeah.
Elsie and Elsie's Udder Udder.
Yep.
I think several times throughout the evolution of this podcast.
No, we've never had a double up. From Bounty Hunter Banter, episode 1 through to now. That's 50 episodes, I think you said the other day.
54.
54 episodes, we've never doubled up.
Okay.
So you brought 3 non-alcoholic beers and you brought 4 alcoholic beers?
And then I bought 4 alcoholic beers.
And I've got one that I saved for the show as well.
Oh, okay.
So we're either going to be tea rashed or we'll have some leftovers for next time. Figure it out later.
Ripped myself off a little bit on that one. But
Are you driving?
Yes, of course I'm driving.
Okay.
No, you helicoptered here.
No, well, he's got a lovely wife.
Yeah, but she's
Still
got a
got to
life.
sit in the car.
She's
for
got a
three-
life too.
for 3 hours while we talk shit.
Drop him off and drive home.
Yeah.
Sit down for 10 minutes and then get back in the car and head here.
So this first one came from the guys over at Yulli's.
I'm
And
very excited for this beer.
Fresh as fuck.
Yeah, it got canned yesterday. I don't even know if they've released it yet. At least it's going to be...
getting released tomorrow.
There we go. It's going to be a few days till this podcast comes out, so at least we're not jumping the gun here.
Friday morning.
It's released tomorrow?
Friday night.
Oh!
We're breaking embargoes. They didn't send out an embargo warning, so there you go.
They didn't warn me not to talk about it. So this is... do you want to talk about
I will talk
who
about
it
this.
is?
So the guy, this is a collab between the Clock Hotel and Yulli's. The Clock is part of the company Solotel that I also work for at the bank and Co-ops. It's actually where I started in hospitality, in the Clock Bottle Shop.
Yep.
Will be 10 years in December. And when I started there, the first guy I met is the guy on the front of the can. He's Raff. He's been working at the Clock for 11 years. And he's a Brazilian guy, ex-Brazilian baskballer.
Okay.
He is...
Of course you are. Yeah.
He's 6 foot something, 6'4" or something. One of the most gentle and lovely people you've ever met. He's got a lovely little daughter. And but yeah, he's just worked the front bar. For the last 11 years. He's been there whenever you walked into the Clock during the day. Kind of Monday or Tuesday. I think he did Tuesdays through Saturdays. He did just 5 days in a row. He was always there. Always got a big friendly smile on his face. Always happy to look after you. And in honor of his 11 years, the guys decided to name the beer after him. So
which is what Yullis do.
Yeah,
they name
they
everything
build their
over,
characters.
I'll give you a can in 2 seconds. So it's a pale ale. It's Raff's Papaya. It's got Mosaic, Azaka, Galaxy, and Papaya in it. And once again, it's got a really good.
And you do get a bit of the papaya.
Yeah,
which I'm surprised and
Right.
impressed about.
Actually, the other Yulli's one that I bought is exactly the same. It was not exactly the same beer, but it's the fruit, one of the Dollys, and it's a watermelon and mint.
Okay.
I had one last night just because Jamie gave me a 4-pack, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able
thirsty.
I'm not going to be able to look at these for 2 more days until I can crack one open. So I had one, and watermelon's such a hard flavour to get in.
Yeah.
And I think papaya is probably the same sort of.
It's just a little bit of sweetness at the end of the palate that wouldn't otherwise be there.
Yeah, it's a pretty simple malt bill, pale malt, wheat malt, caramel and carapils. So the caramel and carapils will give a little bit of sweetness, which would accentuate
Yep.
that sort of character.
I don't need it now. It's just you guys have a tendency to not actually introduce the beer. I go back and so when I'm editing the video or the audio, it's like, okay, so what's the name of the fucking beer? What's the ABV? What's the brewery? That's all you need to say. But no. We're reading the back of the can.
So I think that hop blend is really good. It's a really nice, smashable pale ale.
Smooth.
Yeah. The Mosaic and probably the Papaya is probably helping with that smoothness as well. I love Azaka. I was probably one of the very, very early adopters of Azaka in the solo contract, which was a single hop XPA back in 2016 when I don't think there was any other Australian XPAs. So I've been using it a lot ever since. And then to use the Galaxy to accentuate that tropical fruit character and the Mosaic to accentuate some more piney characters, I think it works really well.
Yeah.
I love it. I had cracked one of these open last night too. Couldn't help myself.
No, it is very smooth. And I can't tell if the residual sugar's residual sugar or from the papaya, but it fucking works. And it's just a little lift at the end. It's not a primary component in the flavor profile.
No, that's exactly it. It's not a fruited beer.
Yeah.
It's
just a pale.
It's just a help along with the flavor profile.
It's going to sound weird to say, but I know Raff really well, and this beer perfectly it's him. It's him in a beer.
Just a little bit fruity at the end?
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
No, but it's just that tropicalness that, like, Raff's the kind of guy that it's the middle of winter and he makes you feel like it's summer. Like,
yeah.
He's always I think he's part of his body is always on Bondi Beach, like being the Brazilian man that he is. But yeah, that's well done, Raffa. That's 100% you.
Excellent. That's good to hear that it's blended
Matches
well with
the
personality. Yeah, it's great. Good job, guys. And we're not paid to say that. We did get the beers for free, but
oh, did we?
it's one of those. Yeah,
Cool.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. I took them beers. They did me a favor. They gave
beer
me
economy.
beers on the way home. Yeah, but I took them beers because they were doing up. Well, not any time we go there, we take beers with us. But he was doing us a favor, and then he loaded me up with beers on the way out the door. So
You said something interesting at GABS, and I won't name names or get into specifics, but you were talking about paying for certain work or tipping, or almost tipping certain workers that come in regularly to the brewery with beer.
Yeah. Well, not even tipping. So yeah, we definitely won't mention who that is.
No, we won't.
But it's more, this person came into the brewery quite often, and comes in every week to deliver his goods, and we have. It was always a pretty good chat with him, and then this. Obviously, as time goes on, your chats start to expand because you've asked all the questions.
All
all those
questions.
Exactly,
Yeah,
you know
the
all
small
that.
talk's over.
And then it starts to expand and goes on, and you learn more about them, and then that starts with going, we spoke about this last week. Here, try this.
Yep.
And it starts there, and then the conversation's obviously rolling. And we've known this guy now for 4 or 5 years, And then it just started. He did us a favor a long time ago, and then it just snowballed from there. It was like, oh, thanks, man, really appreciate that. Yeah, have a 6-pack of this, and now it's like we know he's coming in on a certain day, and we're like, okay,
set aside,
get that ready, and if I'm not in here, you give it to him. It's here in the cool room, and grab it out. And because we're doing so many more seasonals than that now, it's more and more opportunity to give him different stuff to try and expand his knowledge and then he was at GABS and he was happy as Larry. Like,
he was a cool dude too.
Yeah, a couple of the brewers on Monday both separately said to me, "Did you see him there? He had a smile from ear to ear the whole time he was there, and he was just happy. He was an absolute kid in a candy store.
Yeah,
and that's not his first GABS trip either. He's been to GABS the last couple of years, but he just loves it, and he just loves the creativity of it, and he does like a lot of the camaraderie that the beer industry has.
Yeah,
he's not in the beer industry, but yeah.
Yeah, so he's a supplier to the beer industry. Yeah. I just the irony of like why I brought it up is the irony of the beer economy actually being built around the craft brewing or the independent brewing industry, but it's actually a term that was coined for a fucking advertisement for a major CUB line.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, I mean it's the beer economy, right? Like
but was
talk
that
about paying your mates in slabs of beer for helping you move? That was the ad series that they ran. I think it was a CUB. It might have been.
No, I think it was Tooheys.
Yeah, I think you're right, actually. Yeah. But in reality, I mean, so talking about GABS, so Dan and I went to GABS this year and took the risk on fucking COVID, and we sat there and talked to Doc. And Doc's a legend. I mean, he's beer royalty in the Australian craft
industry.
Doesn't
matter how much I pour of this one. I went to stop and then
just load yourself up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. And hearing some of the stories about the experimentation Doc was doing before the rest of the Australian craft industry was doing it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I had a good little chuckle with Louise. I'm going to make Dan slightly uncomfortable here.
Good.
With Dan's wife, Lou, that, Doc was someone who was kind of, no one wants it, mate. That's just, if I could give it to the cat, I'll put it in the food, in the dog bowl.
Very keen to try this one, actually.
Yeah, Doc taught a lot of knowledge to the people around him, including Dan.
Oh, yeah, fuck yeah, 100%.
Which is why he is kind of the grandfather of craft in Australia.
Or very experimental craft.
Yeah. And but these days, if you're an independent brewery that's trying to get a name out there, if you don't have that style of experimentation in flavor profiles, you ain't a real independent. Because they practically all have a line of experimental stuff.
Yeah.
Once you hit a certain critical mass where you can afford to do beers that fail without destroying your label.
Yeah. And costing you a bomb that don't sell and all that. It's all about cash flow in those early core range days.
Yeah. And like obviously...
Unless
tell that to Bracket. Have you had any of the Bracket beers yet?
Yeah, I think... Have I had any of the Bracket ones? I don't think I have.
Oh, man. Like,
no.
He, for someone who's just like kind of not quietly opened, but like, he's opened it's a bit of a back streets. It's not really like an area that's...
Oh, Bracket. Yes, I have.
In Alexandria?
Yeah.
But like...
I have. I went to the brewery. Sorry. Yes, the beers are great.
Yeah, but his beers are like next level for someone who's just opened. Like, it's up there. Like, I had one last night. One of his... It was 3 different hopped like hazy pale. And I was like, I could have had a garage project of the same thing next to it and it would have been the same quality.
Yeah, definitely. They were great. They were great quality.
But is the industry not at a point where that's okay?
It definitely is, and the size and scale that he's doing it.
Yeah,
so they've got, I think from memory, it was about maybe 1,000-litre brew house and 4 fermenters, and then there was 4 or 5 like 200-litre fermenters.
And for people who have no idea what any of that means in terms of what's AB running at?
Oh, we've got a
Australian brewery.
2,000-litre brew house, 11 4,000-litre fermenters, and 3 8,000 litres.
Yeah.
So a lot.
Yeah. So I just wanted to give people a sense of scale.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
All. But having said that, Australian Brewery is the largest microbrewery in the Southern Hemisphere, isn't it?
No.
Or is it not anymore?
No.
It was making that claim at one stage.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I wouldn't say in the Southern Hemisphere, but definitely in Australia, we were the largest probably until Young Henry's did their second expansion, and then Rock's built, and then we're all of us on that scale. We're all
starting
roughly
to take it now with their new giant monstrosity they're building up.
Stone Woods, they're still independent, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
So no, they were definitely, and then I think we were classed as regional or something.
Yeah, okay.
At some stage, yeah, they're probably regional too.
My point of bringing up Doc was, obviously he taught you a lot of stuff personally in your young brewing days, and you looked up to him. But what I don't think you probably recognise or want to recognise is that there's a hell of a lot of brewers in the industry right now who learn a shitload from you and look up to you in exactly the same way. So
they do, and I take a lot of pride in these sort of, well, especially Yulli's, because half of their brew team I had a very strong hand in training. So Tom and Jamie, Tom was the first head brewer at Yulli's, and now Jamie's the current head brewer, and Tom sort of stepped away from on the floor stuff, and he does back of house stuff, sort of high level stuff now. I mean they came through the Australian Brewery, and we trained them from they came in with a certain level of knowledge because they were both very good home brewers, very intelligent, very smart, great guys, and they came through. They earned their stripes at the Australian Brewery and then moved off to Yulli's because it was much closer, 10 minutes from where they live, instead of taking them 2 hours to drive home. So no, 100%. I'm very, very grateful and very, very proud of seeing people that I've had a hand in training become as successful as what they are. Yeah. And I mean, we did a lot of stuff for Yulli's when they didn't have a brewery. Even when they did have a brewery, they went through the
contract brewing stage.
Yeah, they had their they expanded their brewery out late last year. And late last year or the year before, I don't remember now. 2020's gone. Last year or the year before, I can't remember which one they expanded on. But we did. We kept their lager going for them because they basically gutted their brewery, kept a couple of tanks in there to do bits and pieces, and we had 2 or 3 tanks doing their lager for them. So we've had a really good relationship with the guys at Yulli's for a long, long time. And yeah, no, I'm very, very proud of helping train people to that point to get there. So
it's good fun walking around with you at GABS though, because you're definitely beer royalty as well, because practically everyone fucking knows who you are.
We all know each other. That is good.
It is.
It's very watery.
What we're drinking, so Pete can, because he's about to, I can see it in his eyes. This is the Big Drop Brewing Co. They are from Docklands in Melbourne. This is their Pine Trail Pale Ale, a ultra low alcohol pale.
I would prefer to crack that and scull that than I would a can of Coke.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, you certainly get a hop hit.
Yeah.
It's got 42 IBUs, mate.
It's apparently you get the bitterness. It's low carb.
Magnum, Mosaic, and Amarillo.
Yeah. You probably find the head retention's got something to do with the alcohol.
No, what it'll be is to make these low alcoholic beers, you have to run them through a reverse osmosis filter. So everything other than...
I got one of them in my bathtub, mate.
Anything other than the water and alcohol molecules gets caught. So you basically end up with a syrup.
Yeah, okay.
So the water and the alcohol get taken out, and then you rehydrate that syrup.
With the water without the alcohol.
Sterile water after that. Carbonate from there. I would say that is very hard on head formation proteins from the malts. That would be... It was a really, really rocky head, so really big bubbles that dissipated really quickly. I would almost guarantee that's a byproduct of how they have to do it.
Yeah, okay. It's surprisingly good in the sense that it tastes like someone took a pale or an IPA, something simple, and poured carbonated water into it.
Which is exactly what they did.
Yeah. Yeah, just diluted to a point where... Yeah.
In a sense.
It's got lactose in it.
Oh, does it?
Really?
Yeah.
But probably to build out the body a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it is a pale ale too.
Yeah. So the next one is the IPA.
Yep.
And the third one is the milk stout.
And why do we have it? Go on.
It's not... I'm not going to bag Gabs because it's not their fault. It was really...
Well, we have to do that at the pub. We have to serve.
Oh, definitely.
Licensing thing,
at,
yeah.
Coke.
at the pubs, you have to do... No, you have to have low light beer available and you have to have water available.
Okay.
They're licensing laws. And the licensing police cracked down on Gabs, saying they needed to have low alcohol light beer
Right.
and water available, which they always have water. 100%.
Yeah, of
They
course.
always have water. And they're very, very good at making sure the water is supplied at every stand.
Yeah.
You run out, you let them know, they top it up. This year they used big individual bottles instead of
Because of COVID.
like a Tetra Pak kind of
Yeah.
thing, with the little goon bag tab
Yeah.
on it. We haven't spoken a single thing about pop culture yet. And how long have we been going for?
21 minutes.
Oh, there we go. And
9 minutes till break.
and so they came around on Saturday morning, popped the sign up. Even the lady that popped the sign up for me, she goes, "We've got to do this," and rolled her eyes. And I've gone, "Okay, no worries." She said somebody will bring the beer around, and I expected it to be a mass producer. I did not even think of
Craft.
like the craft low alcohol stuff, and it's Gabs. That should have been the first thing that popped into my head. And then the guy came around and gave us 4 cans. And I'm like, you serious? You want us to have this available, but you give us 4 cans. Understand nobody's going to drink it.
I'm sure they would have. I'm sure they would have replaced any of the cans that got taken by punters.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, we couldn't have given them cans. We could have only poured it into their
little
200
tasting cups,
ml
the
cup or their
ponies.
tasting cup. Yeah. But I get it's a good idea for people that maybe think they've had too much and don't want to be ridiculed by their friends for not drinking something. I get they could probably sneak away and get one poured if they wanted to.
They're from England.
Are they? Well, there you go. What does it say? Big
No,
Drop
no,
Brewing
but
Company.
they now, I guess they brew in Australia.
Okay.
Like they have.
Okay.
But I've just been reading, they've been around for ages.
Okay.
They've been around since April 2016.
Wow.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
terrible.
100%. It's not
yeah.
bad.
I'd never elect to drink it over a full alcohol
No,
beer,
I don't
but
think I would either. No.
yeah, would I drink it instead of a Coke? Probably.
Yeah. Now that I
That's
know
your new lawnmower beer.
now that I know that there's lactose in it, I probably
Put it in the lawnmower too.
I wouldn't go to it that quickly.
Yeah,
Where
being
Did you say
lactose
lactose.
intolerant.
Yeah, okay. I wonder why they do that. They must just do that to build out body. That's all. It would be interesting to see if it's in the IPA as well.
So we should finish up. Excuse me. We should finish off the Gabs conversation. I was disappointed with Gabs this year. It was
I was disappointed Gabs went ahead, to be honest. I thought it was irresponsible. But then again, I didn't go.
Putting it in context, and I understand what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree strongly, but
I understand why they went ahead with it.
this is a company that bought an established brand
Yeah.
when COVID struck. And so their first ever Gabs, after investing a fuck ton of cash into buying it.
Yeah, well, they bought it in January, like as it was just like getting well. We didn't even we'd heard about COVID coming out in China, but we hadn't really.
It wasn't a pandemic
gauged
until
and-
February.
Yeah.
So
for all we know, it could have been another bird flu, swine flu that never
found root.
That only just sort of made its way.
So yeah, I mean, this is a company that spent a shitload of cash, obviously, to buy Gabs as a brand or a kind of the intellectual property, and then immediately had to shut down their show. So they would have been bleeding, hemorrhaging cash.
And they went through 3. This was the third.
Well, Gabs Brisbane
Delay.
went ahead in January.
No, that was a separate festival done by Gabs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Gabs Brisbane's in 3 or 4 weeks' time. The official Gabs.
That was the
summer beer,
summer of Gabs or something. But it was a mini festival.
It was
they
a mini,
did.
yeah. Because Queensland had opened up at that stage.
So I can understand why they went ahead. And look, the reality is if you're tracking, obviously most of our listeners are in Australia. If you're tracking coronavirus in Australia, we have outbreaks that last 3 days and then the borders reopen. So from an organizer's perspective, if there's shit going down on a Tuesday and Gabs is on a Saturday, there's a pretty decent chance that anything that is going down is going to be clear by Saturday anyway.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with Tom. I think if there had been more community transmission on the Thursday or Friday,
it would have been a super spreader.
Ridiculously so.
Yeah,
and I'm glad there wasn't because I think.
Well, I guess we'll know in 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, I think I probably would have pulled our guys as well. Just pure
as a precaution,
staff safety.
But having said that, so there were still a fuck ton of people there, but there wasn't nearly as many people as in previous Gabs. There were also,
but I think they limited the tickets before that because of capacity rulings.
Saturday was by far. So when we were there, Saturday day session, that was at least double what was there on Friday night, at least.
And I've got to say, as much as it was a different atmosphere and less enjoyable, it in the same sense, or it was also more fun because you could move around and you weren't bumping into people and the queues weren't as bad. There were less stands this year.
Much less. I reckon, from my estimate, it was about a third.
Yeah.
And there were some big players missing too. Big players. Batch, Young Henrys.
Yeah.
A lot of the Inner West guys weren't there. Garage Project, which broke my fucking heart.
Yeah.
The one time that I actually have a session where I didn't work at Gabs and was actually drinking and fucking Garage Project isn't there, that was very, very disappointing.
I mean, I would prefer it that way. I remember Gabs 2 or 3 years ago when you had that Friday night and it was an industry session. That was the best session to go to. Yeah. Like last 2 years having to go to last 2 years it was on, having to go to like the Saturday, I usually went to the Saturday evening session and you'd be getting on the train there and you get to the switch at Lidcombe to go to Olympic Park and there's dudes spilling out of the train, vomiting on each other and you're just like, what am I walking into? Like, it was funny though, the amount of, and I won't name any names, but the amount of brewers who decided to try their luck. I was closing the bank that night, who tried to try their luck at about 11 p.m., 11:30 to sneak into the bank line and come in for a beer. Yep. And I was standing on the front door and just being like, no.
Yeah, obviously not. You're expecting that
They're
sort of stuff.
But I was like, I know exactly where you've been. Go. You need to go home.
At least put the plastic cup away.
They're all wearing the Gabs hats this year. It was great.
Oh, I didn't even see Gabs hats.
There were all these people with little red Gabs hats. I was like, that's perfect. I know exactly who's not coming.
Coming a mile down King Street.
Well, yeah, because we have Holy Moly around the corner. Whenever we see the Holy Moly hats, we're just like, perfect. They're not coming in.
I don't know why they don't do the nightclub tramp stamp, just the little stamp, so that way, at least if they spill out into pubs afterwards, it's pretty hard to get rid of the stamp.
You can just tell.
You can just look at the glazed eyes. Yeah. Dude, it's 5. Yeah. Anyway, look, we might take a quick break and then we promise we'll talk about some pop culture in amongst all the beer.
So we did, in that little break that we just took, Tom did some more Googling on Big Drop, the ultra low alcohol ones, and I will stand corrected. These guys do not use a reverse osmosis filter. What did it say? Without artificially removing alcohol.
Yep.
So they obviously don't use it. They must just
arrest the process really quickly in the ferment.
Yeah, well, and if that's the way they're doing it, they must use very, very little malted barley, and that's why there's lactose in there. Otherwise,
or a really efficient strain of yeast.
Yeah. So that would 100% then be why there's lactose in there and why there's no head retention, because there's not enough malt in there to
generate those proteins.
Have those proteins in there. So, yes, I stand corrected on that one. I will fully admit when I'm wrong.
Did you see the beer that I had in the fridge for the podcast? Is it not no
the
interest?
Big Shed. Yeah, definitely did. What's the alcohol on that, though? Because it's got to be through the fucking roof, I reckon.
It's fun level.
Those ones from Big Shed usually are through the roof. So I thought we'd do the 2 IPAs together. My favourite West Coast IPA. So one of my brewers is on watch, and he has one of the guys from his local his local craft bottle shop on watch for when Boss Level gets released, and they put a case aside for me. So I smashed about a case of this in, I don't know, a week or so, and it's
wow,
it's 8.5%. I'll let you guys pull that. So I just like it. I think it's, and that the Flash Gordon one they release, the Flash Ajax.
Dispatch War Rocket Ajax to bring back his body.
Yes.
Flash.
That was absolutely amazing as well, but slightly different style style of West Coast.
Because I'm going to fucking smash that.
Yeah, you guys do. It's 8.5%. I won't have any more because we've still got 2 more to get through. Or 3 alcoholic ones.
It's really cool can art too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have the shirt.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
I just think it's the perfect level of bitterness. It's the perfect level of crystal malt. So it doesn't have that over-the-top West Coast IPA, sometimes that residual sweetness from the crystal malts. It's a beautiful colour. It's always well carbonated. Good head retention on it. It's just a
I do love Garage Project.
at 8.5% smashable West
Fuck
Coast
yeah.
IPA.
Yeah, that is impressive. You don't get any of the alcohol burn
No.
And
at 8.5%. That's very well hidden.
and the hop character's there. It's always nice and fresh, and it's got that real nice stone fruity finish to it that lingers after it. Good
High
yeast
bitterness.
esters. Yeah, it is high bitterness. I think it's like 75 IBUs or something like that. Something ridiculously high. Maybe it doesn't say. Maybe I looked it up somewhere. But yes, it is really high bitterness. But a good West Coast should have that really nice,
edge.
smooth, assertive bitterness to it.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Let's get a pop culture topic going. I actually don't have a lot. I still haven't finished the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I haven't finished WandaVision. I haven't even started Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
I've got one episode of Falcon left, and I've got to say, as much as I was
Shitting on it.
I gave it
I heard.
a bit of a roasting last
I
ep.
heard, yep.
Episode the end, the last 10 minutes of episode 4 and then all of episode 5 have gotten a hell of a lot better. But I will maintain this.
Sounds very familiar, like someone said that.
Yeah, well, fuck yourself, Tom. I look. I don't think as a cereal, and granted, I haven't seen the
Is it
sixth.
cereal?
It's
Okay.
series of episodes as a cereal. Yeah.
Fair enough.
As a
Just some rice bubbles.
as a closed
Cornflakes.
loop of 6 episodes.
Yep.
It did not deliver, and granted, I haven't seen the 6th.
Pete likes his Fruit Loops.
It didn't. It did not deliver on the buddy cop that I was hoping it would.
I think that was probably also a bit of us because I felt the same, but
Yeah.
I think that was us inferring that from those few moments in the trailer that we got.
I don't think it was too big a leap, though. I think we were kind of sold something and given something else.
But that happens in trailers all the time.
Sure, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
But I think
Especially these days, so many trailers are deliberately misleading, especially Marvel ones.
But I think the moments where it was buddy cop, which is really episode 2, the first half an hour, or the first half of episode 2, and really not again until 5.
Yeah.
Particularly when the sister comes back in and it's like, you fucking don't flirt with my sister. I thought those two episodes were done really well, and I would love to have seen more of it, but it just got really serious really quick. There was too much going on, too many characters for that to really develop. When you think about a buddy cop show, they spend a lot of their time in the fucking cop car and chasing the bad guys, and you're kind of following them. But this show immediately took off to add other characters. So I don't think they really had an opportunity to develop that. I'm interested to see what happens in episode 6. I knew inevitably, spoiler alert, I knew inevitably that the new Cap would go off the rails, and it was fucking fun to watch.
Yeah, well, Tom called that from
Yeah.
as soon as he appeared on screen. So.
And it was enjoyable to watch because I fucking hated the character.
He's Kurt Russell's son.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
No.
He plays one of those really hateable characters, so you know he's really good at acting.
Yeah.
He's acting really well because you really fucking hate him for just because he's him, and then you're
like the king in Game of Thrones.
yeah, like Joffrey, yeah, and then
Thank you.
But then when you actually watch an interview with him, you're like, you're delightful.
Yeah.
You're probably I'd have a beer with you. Yeah. Put that suit on and I'll punch your face in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, look, I'll watch the last episode. You need to catch up.
Yeah.
It is take it or leave it. And I was talking to a mate today who loves all this kind of pop culture stuff too, and he shares my opinions on both series. And I said to him today, I'm pretty sure you could distill the value of the entire WandaVision series into about a 30-minute episode. The actual groundbreaking stuff. I know, and we've talked about this before, I don't want to recover old ground, but you could probably distill that very quickly into a much shorter package. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm disappointed that they didn't go in any of the 4 directions I could easily see them going and enjoy the shit out of watching it. They didn't do enough of Falcon. Falcon's not flying around doing cool shit like he did at the start of episode 1.
I think it might be all budgetary, some there, Peter.
Well, perhaps, but if you're going to commit to a project, then do it properly.
Yeah.
The one thing, I haven't commented much on WandaVision because I still haven't finished it, but I understand why they've got to have the outside the bubble stuff to make sure the story makes sense, but I would have rather have watched just like the evolution of the TV shows without cutting out to Darcy and everything that was happening out there. I felt that broke...
Continuity?
Not the continuity, it broke the immersion in watching a TV show. And I say that loosely in quotation marks because it is a TV show within a TV show, but it's not a TV show within a TV show. I would have rather have possibly watched 4 or 5 episodes of what the WandaVision series was, and then the next 2 or 3 cut back to two or 3 episodes of Darcy and everything they're doing outside the bubble.
You couldn't have executed the storyline if you'd done it that way, and that'll become more clear towards the end of this series.
Okay. I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just broke it a little bit, and I was really looking forward to it, and I do enjoy that culture and timeline change.
Yeah.
Of the shows, but it just breaks it too much.
Which roughly episode are you up to?
We watched another one the other night. Quicksilver just got to the door.
Yeah, okay. Look, overall, it is, and particularly now that some time's passed for me and I'm, Falcon and Winter Soldier and all the rest of it, it's fucking dark.
Oh, yeah.
That series is really dark.
Yeah. I think that's why I get where you're coming from with like the story beats, but because of the level of like darkness behind it, I think that's what makes it fine, like good for me.
She's mind controlling people. She's essentially raping them.
100%. Yeah.
It's really dark.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. And it's good. And it's great that Marvel's taking these risks to do it. And they're the first 2 seasons of a new ground for them.
It's hard. It's hard for them to be doing this and not be judged so harshly when we're in an era where Mandalorian's 2 seasons in, and it is a similar platform, a similar intellectual property leap from movie to TV, and it runs fucking circles around it.
Yeah.
I've gone back and watched Mando season 1 3 times now, Mando season 2 twice.
As someone who loves Mandalorian, given the fact that he spent $200 on a Mandalorian themed bag for no reason, which is next to me.
It's so nice.
But do you think that a lot of that comes from the fact that they're not exactly groundbreak, like they're not trying to change any formulas with their like the loose?
They're not doing that genre. For I understand what you're saying. Look,
it's a tried and true. It's a space western.
But it didn't have to be. They could have fucked it up so easily. On so many levels.
I give that, but it's
compared to WandaVision. Look, WandaVision, they took artistic risks, but I didn't set out to watch we're not watching indie IP here. We're not going to the Reading Cinema and lying on a beanbag to watch a movie. This is mainstream intellectual property.
Yeah. And there's decades of comic book history to lead into these types of things. I definitely see both sides of it, but I think...
I'm glad we've got more shit to watch.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. It's just, and that's WandaVision. But Winter Soldier is tried and true trope. It's a TV series. They're not doing anything groundbreaking artistically. They're not doing anything groundbreaking cinematographically. Yeah, cinemagraphically. Thank you.
Cinemagraphically?
I think that...
I don't think that's a word. No.
The plot's not complicated or different or there's nothing groundbreaking in it. And that's a better comparison to something like Mando. And I just think the actual story they set out to tell in Mando was just a hell of a lot more interesting. Anyway.
Okay.
It'll be interesting to see what's next because there's a lot coming up.
Going on that, and some of the reasons why we haven't gotten to watching all of either of that yet is I've been on a bit of a journey to find different things outside of the Marvel, and I watch fucking far too much Star Wars, and I go down way too many rabbit holes with Star Wars stuff. So we've been looking for different stuff to watch. And this TV series, it was on HBO. It caught my eye a long time ago. Travis Fimmel, the guy who played Ragnar Lothbrok in Vikings, it was his next move after he left Vikings.
Yeah.
It's called Raised by Wolves.
Okay. I think I've seen some ad for it, actually.
It's fucking weird. Like, it's super weird. And it took me about 3 episodes of watching it. But it's great. I love it. It's so different and so weird. It took me about 3 episodes to go, I've finally realized why I like this. It's sci-fi of old. It's remaking a modern, like, Metropolis, like those old, and I'm talking about original black and white sci-fi cinema. It's making that in these days.
Yeah, okay.
It has that feel to it, and even some of the costume choices and ship designs, they are very black and white, 1920s, lost in space designs.
It is Fallout. I mean, that's the aesthetic of Fallout, really.
No, this isn't worn down, anything like that. It's like Metropolis. It's like shiny, new, domed things.
Sounds like BioShock more than anything.
Yeah, it's
just not underwater.
It's still not quite that. Not quite that.
If you're talking about Metropolis, like the 1920s, I know exactly what you're meaning. Yeah.
So it's based that on Earth. There's Christianity. Basically, it is Christianity overtook, but never sort of evolved outside of the Crusaders.
Yeah.
So they're dressed like modern Crusaders.
Right.
So they have long, basically white robes, red crosses on their chest, and they worship Sol. So the sun, the one and only God, Sol, and then you have the atheists. And these are the 2 big groups on Earth, and they've destroyed Earth to a point where they can't live on it anymore. So the atheists are well and truly technologically behind because they're basically the rebels.
Yeah, okay.
And so almost none of the show is set on Earth. You just get some of this from little flashbacks. The Sol worshippers sent out generation ships, and they send hundreds of thousands of people on these generation ships off from Earth to colonize out in the galaxy. And then the atheists are able to basically hijack a couple of androids, load them onto a ship with a couple of embryos, suitcases full of embryos.
Yep.
They send them off in this single pod ship to get out before the Sol worshippers get out, because they don't want the Sol worshippers to be the only human race left in the world.
Yep.
So they try and get out and colonize out there first. So this single pod is run by two androids in skin tight, shiny, old school bodysuits.
Yep.
And that's all they wear the entire time. They move like androids. They talk like not robotic androids, but very matter of factly.
Mm-hmm.
There's no emotion until a little bit later on. And I'm going to throw a little spoiler in there, but the female character, the female android in it, is what's known as a necromancer. And these necromancers are actually the weapon that the Sol worshippers built to
wipe out the atheists.
Okay. And then one of the atheists got one, reprogrammed it, and that's why she ends up out there. But
Sierra Corner.
She turns.
I was thinking it.
She turns into when she goes from normal human looking, once again quotation marks, into her necromancer mode. She puts her arms out like she's on the cross. Her feet cross over, and she turns this amazing matte bronze.
Okay.
The all down matte bronze. It's an amazing effect, and it's so old school as well. It's just but it's done in a modern way, and it's just great. And I really enjoy it. The world building that they've done is so different and so interesting that it's and different. Like it really got me because it was so different. I absolutely love it. It's great, but it's not for everybody because it's fucking weird.
What's bugging me is, and I've got no way to look it up. I'd have to go back through.
Oh, I'll wait.
Because we've all got so many. We've all got so many different streaming utilities now, or streaming subscriptions. I don't even know who I watched it through, but it just, what you're describing reminds me of a very different movie, and it was just a movie about a guy in the middle of. In the middle of this weird Japanese. He's a white boy in a Japanese facility with. He lives with robots. He's got to repair these robots, and he's trying to create artificial intelligence so that he can create a body to install his wife's his dead wife's intelligence into or personality into.
God, it sounds so familiar, but...
So humanity has created a technology that allows you to back up or over the space of, I think, 3 to 6 months after someone dies, there's an afterlife server that you can buy, and your personality is essentially, or your brain is downloaded into this afterlife server, and over a period of time, it degrades to a point where your intelligence, you disappear. But it gives your loved ones an opportunity to say goodbye to you after you die suddenly. So, and then what this guy was a robotics specialist, an AI specialist who is desperately trying to build an artificial intelligent or a robot with enough of a neural network that matches the human brain to download his wife's personality into the robot before she dissipates out of the machine. And there's a really sick being good in this case, twist at the end of the movie. And in retrospect, it was fucking obvious as a twist, but watching this movie, it's offbeat, it's off kilter, it's a little uncomfortable all the way through, and then they hit you with a twist, and I didn't see it coming. And I was pissed off with myself because I should have. But again, in terms of what you're describing, the linkage there is it's just different. It's out there. It's not mainstream Hollywood. And it's a cool story, even though it had a mainstream Hollywood actor in it.
Yeah, I'm not sure this will get a second season. I don't know. We haven't watched the last 2 episodes, so I'm not sure even whether it leads into needing a second season or even how much budget they would actually require to do a second season. But it's well worth a watch. It really is. It once again, it's not for everybody. If you can get through the first 3 episodes and go, yeah, okay, I want to find out where this goes.
Yep.
I know 3 hours is a bit of a commitment, but the first episode, you might watch the first 5 minutes and go, fuck, what is this crap? And
stick with it, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and it has, because it has that sort of old aesthetic to it, a lot of...
Is it called Replicas? With Keanu Reeves?
That's the Keanu Reeves one.
No, I have seen that too. I didn't mind that movie. It was a B-grade popcorn movie, but...
It was a bit weird.
It was okay.
Yeah, I think if you can look past that and actually then take it for that's what this is. Like it is meant to be an homage to old school original
sci-fi
TV film sci-fi.
Yeah,
that's what it's meant to be, but just done in a modern era with a lot better actors and a lot better special effects.
And I think I did mention this when I was watching, but the new BBC War of the Worlds is very similar.
They do the season 2 of that.
When?
I don't know. They've been
when I need it.
They've been advertising it a lot on SBS On Demand. So
fucking yeah. Look, it's weird, right? So, and I learned this in high school. One of my physics teachers in high school always told us when you're studying for the HSC, each time you're sitting at home studying a particular topic, put some sort of essential oil on a tissue or a handkerchief and just have it around you when you're studying, but change the scent for each topic, because smell is an extremely powerful memory link. And so when you go and do the exam, the HSC exam for each topic, bring some of that smell with you on like a handkerchief and smell it, and you can remember. And it's funny because if I smell like a Lynx deodorant, I'll instantly be transported to the point in my life in high school of when I wore that Lynx deodorant. It'll have a point in a sec.
Yeah, okay.
Every time, and it doesn't happen often, every time there's a Saturday or a Sunday morning where I wake up late with the girlfriend and order Uber Eats breakfast like a bacon and egg roll, it instantly reminds me of us watching War of the Worlds, because that's what we would do. We'd wake up on a Saturday morning, have a cooked breakfast and watch War of the Worlds until the season was over.
Some light Saturday morning watching?
Sorry?
Some light Saturday morning television?
It's such an addictive series. Yeah. It really is. It's like just watching the bad dogs from that black and white episode of Broken Mirror.
Oh, yeah.
But over 6 episodes with a really cool plot sitting behind it.
Yeah.
And it's offbeat because it's English and French. And so half of the show is in French with subtitles and the other half's in English. And it's way out there compared to what I usually watch. So it's definitely not mainstream. What's the non-beer that we're drinking?
Oh, sorry.
I'll read it.
Tom, I'll do this one again.
This is again, from Big Drop Brewing Co. This is the Paradiso IPA, ultra low alcohol. It again contains lactose. Same IBU as the pale. Maybe, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if there's someone on the same IBU on the next can. The hops are Chinook, Cascade, Simcoe, Citra, and Columbus.
You can taste the Simcoe. That's what it is.
And they say this IPA radiates citrus fruit from the moment you pour it to the second you finish that last sip with a satisfied sigh. Bright, sharp twist of bitterness on the end makes you want to dive back in for one more.
Yeah, to me, that's just marketing shit because I don't get any of that at all.
Completely agree.
I'd much prefer the first one to this.
I think the pale ale is much better. Yeah, it's definitely drinkable. It's if that bitterness was a bit more assertive, it would be a little bit more IPA.
I don't know if it's the style.
I get more of the lactose in this one.
Much more. It's got a much sweeter finish
Milky,
to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the pale style suits the low ABV better than an IPA, but this to me is a bit funky in a bad way.
Yeah.
Almost a bit Band-Aidy.
Yeah, you just want that. It just doesn't have that punch behind it.
Yeah. There's no bitterness. There's no over the top hop character. Yeah. Yeah. There's no alcohol there to round out some of those flavors. Yeah.
Yeah, it lacks a mid palate.
Yeah. It's fine. It's definitely drinkable. Definitely drinkable.
But you're never going to mistake it for thinking that you're drinking a normal ABV.
Absolutely not.
Which has to be the goal, right? I mean, for a low alcohol beer, the goal has to be for you to be convinced that you're drinking a full alcohol beer unless someone told you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this falls well short of the mark.
I think the pale ale could almost pass for that.
Almost. It's still very thin, but I've had some pretty bad actual alcohol beers. So
if
on the spectrum, it's no worse than a 2 is new.
Oh yeah, no, it's much better than that.
It won a World Beer Award.
I was reading on their website.
In its category.
Yeah, they've...
we have to clarify that.
I so want to say a joke about the Olympics, but I won't.
In its category.
Yes, I was reading on their website. They've got a fair few awards for the low alcohol, ultra low alcohol, I guess, category.
And I guess, well, they should. I mean...
It's almost got a honey flavour.
It does, yeah.
There's a lot of lactose in that.
There's a lot of sweetness.
I know you said you'd been moving away from Star Wars, but have you watched any Bad Batch yet?
Of course.
Yeah, good.
I'm not moving away from it. I said I watched far too much of it.
Well, I just said you were trying to branch out.
I was trying to branch out.
Is it good?
Trying not to consume my time.
I'm stuck in Clone Wars still. So I don't want to watch Bad Batch without watching Rebels.
Watch all of Clone Wars. It is a great little parallel to Revenge of the Sith and going the first episode, which is like a movie length episode, going through the instant fallout from Order 66.
Yeah, okay.
And it is that little bit of period of time that we haven't seen. We've read about it.
We've read about it,
comics,
and we played the game about it.
And there's a lot of parallels between the Bad Batch and Republic Commandos.
Heaps.
That me and Tom have gone far too much on about. Especially with episode 2.
I actually reckon Filoni is using 100%. He's a big
source material.
Yeah, he's definitely gone. I love those books. She wouldn't let me maybe use those characters, so I'm going to really make characters around them. Yeah.
So there's in Republic Commandos they move away to Mandalore, which in that non-canon it's basically Norway.
Yeah.
It's farming, it's mountains, it's ice, it's snow in the winter and everything like that. So they have this little getaway on Mandalore, and one of the Republic Commandos that gets there has a Twi'lek girlfriend at the time. And episode 2, one of the defected clone commandos has a Twi'lek wife and 2 Twi'lek kids.
Right.
Not named the same, but it's
obviously parallel.
But he was in earlier episodes.
Oh, was he? See, I've missed that.
No. There's an Ahsoka and Rex find him in an episode. They crash land on that planet and find him.
Okay.
And that's why he talks about how Rex came through, because Rex knows he's there.
Yeah, well, because he did say Rex came through, so I knew he's obviously come there after.
So Rex, what the episode was basically about, Rex being like, "You're a deserter. Should I be following my orders?" And it was like the early stages of Rex being like, "I'm not gonna."
Exactly like Darman finds the deserter in the Republic Commando book. Yeah, okay. It's okay.
So stylistically, is it a continuation of the graphic style from
Slightly updated.
Yeah, it's a little bit different.
Because
Yeah.
Rebels was different from Clone Wars
Yeah,
too.
it's more Clone Wars with its
more
own little
painted.
twist on it. Yeah, there's a lot of
brush strokes.
stylistic
Yeah.
swirl
if you
stuff
go back to
going on
Clone
in
Wars,
face.
there's a shit ton of brush strokes.
No, but it's more
Pronounced.
it's more pronounced in this.
Yeah, much.
And it
more.
might just be that the like they've updated the programs they're using and it's more clear, but it definitely looks more art-y,
Yeah.
I guess
Okay.
is the best way to put it. It
That's
looks
cool.
more like it's painted art.
And I don't like the young female clone. Her New Zealand / Australian accent is fucking grating. I hated her in the first episode.
Yeah.
They seem to have dialed it down a little bit in the second episode.
Clone Wars, the clones were voiced by a New Zealand actor from memory. He was a Maori boy.
D. Bradley Baker. Is his name?
But it's his.
It's not thick.
When you
what Fush is that dead?
and that's exactly
exactly,
what she's like.
Yeah, that would
When I
drive me
first
nuts.
heard it, it takes me back to one of my favorite lines in the Lord of the Rings movies when when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli arrive at the Battle of Pelennor Fields and they jump off the ship, and then the orc who's talking has the worst New Zealand accent, and he's like, "There's knife work here needs doing.
Yeah.
Get off your ships, you sea rats."
Yeah, he does too.
And so it's my favorite. Whenever someone's late to work, I'm just like, "Get off your ship, you sea rat. It's time. There's knife work here needs doing."
and that's what she's like.
Yeah.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
But
It's as bad as a really badly put on Aussie accent.
Oh yeah.
yeah, and I feel like they've overdone it a little bit, but hopefully they dial back. But the Bad Batch guys themselves, I think they're much like when they were in. I loved them when they were introduced in the Clone Wars, but they're all because they all have different looks and different personalities.
Which was what made them the Bad Batch, right? I mean, they were rejects from the cloning process. So
well, they're not rejects. They're defective, but they were intentional defective.
yeah.
Experiments.
Experimental stuff. So, but it's that they all interact really well. They feel like a commando cohesive team.
Yep.
When not
We're
just
gonna
the
have to take a break real
not just
soon.
the animation wise, but how they talk to each other.
Yep.
Excuse me. And they. Yeah, it works. It's really
cool.
good. We're only 2 episodes in, and it goes straight from Order 66. It shows the start of Order 66. And
I think it's going to be it's a relatively long series. I see the timer, Peter.
yeah.
Okay.
And them returning to Camino after Order 66.
Yeah, cool. All right. Sweet. All right. We'll be back after this.
And I've got
quick
more Star
break.
Wars to talk about.
Cool.
Ready and willing, General.
Kitty Cat's finally joined us.
Yeah, we're back, and we can never get through an episode without Podcast Cat joining us. At least she's quiet. So you wanted to talk more Star Wars?
Yes. So
Wow, that's a pale color.
it always is. So this is the Yulli's Dolly. It's their sour beer series. It's the watermelon and mint.
I'm looking forward to
Refreshing.
this one.
And
I'm wearing black. Piss off, Cat.
I very much dislike mint. I have a strong,
What?
passionate dislike to mint.
It's a weird flavor to not like.
I don't like it. My grandma used to make mint sauce with lamb roast. And ever since then,
I can't eat lamb roast without mint sauce.
Oh, yeah,
it makes
no.
it.
Nope,
Not
no.
the jelly stuff. I don't like the jelly stuff.
Oh, okay. No, it was the flavour, not the texture.
Yeah. Okay.
But the mint on this is so subtle and so background, just like after you've swallowed it, it just rolls through and it's not up front minty.
Sure, there's a line there, Tom.
Yeah. But this is what I was saying earlier, how the watermelon flavour is so hard to get into a product, and I just think they've nailed it. It's really nicely balanced. Nothing's over the top.
The smell is very interesting. It's almost, it takes a while for the brain to register it as watermelon.
Watermelon, yeah, but it most definitely is 100%
It's
watermelon.
almost funky to start with, and then you realize what it is you're smelling.
Well, I mean, it is sour. It should be a little bit funky, but
And I am a smoker, so my sense of smell is a bit weird.
But you get a bit of that that mint cooling effect when you sniff it. Yeah.
yeah, and that sort of little bit of mint
Yeah.
cooling
Ooh.
on the back palate. I think it's great. I love how these guys are constantly doing different sours.
That's
Yeah, the Dolly series is fantastic.
utterly unique. I've never had a sour that tastes like that. That's impressive.
And because Tom and Jamie, we all learnt to do the sours together. So we all do the souring process the same way. And so it's that great tartness to it. It's just that real sharp, low pH, nice sharp tartness to it, like sours should be.
And they've got a color grade on it too, I noticed, on the can.
A color grade?
Yeah.
Color 7 EBC.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Is there some sort of international, is that a beer specific color grading?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
There's EBC and SRM. So American is SRM, and EBC is the European Beer Convention.
So this is Dolly Aldrin from Yulli's.
Yeah, so they have the Dolly series. They do all sorts of flavors. I think you guys came.
We've done Dollies before.
No, but you came to Hops when we had all the different Dollys on.
No.
That's where you did.
Maybe I did.
Maybe you did.
The only time I've only been, maybe
Yeah.
No, did I?
Because Tom had you came because Tom had done them.
Was that the episode that Ben fell asleep for on the podcast?
No,
Was it a
we
live
weren't,
podcast recording?
we weren't recording there.
Oh, it was when we were just trashed.
Yeah.
It was after the beer tour.
Yeah. No.
She's surly.
No, this was years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. She's surly. She's burly. She ain't no Liz Hurley. Dolly Aldrin, our Dolly Aldrin. She's sour, no flour. She's liberal with a glower. Glower? Dolly Aldrin, our Dolly Aldrin. She whinges, she binges. She laughs like rusty hinges. Dolly Aldrin, our Dolly Aldrin. She jeers and leers, especially on the beers. Our Dolly Aldrin, that's Dolly Aldrin. Cool. She's a very unhappy looking lady, I have to say. It's
because she's sour.
Okay. But no, good job. Good job.
Fuck yeah.
Really enjoy it.
Nice Berlin of ice.
So what I was saying about the Star Wars, I jumped because I've read obviously the Republic Commando series. So I jumped to Karen Travis's next. She's the author. Jumped to her next foray into the Star Wars universe, which is Legacy of the Force. She writes every second book in the series, and I think there's like 7 or 8 books in the series. And it picks up. They should have fucking done this for The Force Awakens. If they didn't do the war that they did with the weird
Yuuzhan Vong.
I can't pronounce it. If they weren't going to do that, they should have done this. And I mean, obviously, when you're reading it, it's Jason Solo, not Ben Solo.
Yep.
And it's his demise, if you can put it that way, into the dark side as of Ben Solo in Force Awakens and the sequel trilogy, but done much, much better, done much more intelligently, done with a lot more sense and a lot more build. I guess it is a book, but it's not just Star Wars done again.
Yeah, okay.
There is a big thing that they have to stop this big thing because it's a planet killer, but it's a war between members of the Galactic Alliance. It's not. It's basically an internal civil war. So the Corellians want to break away from the Galactic Alliance. So they're building. Well, they don't want to break away. They want to have their cake and eat it too. So they're building their own secret fleet.
Yep.
But they're still taking all of the advantages of being part of the Galactic Republic, but they're not repaying their debt. So they have to give a certain amount of soldiers to the Galactic Army, a certain amount of ships to the Galactic Army. They're not doing that. They're building their own fleet. The Galactic Alliance comes in with a heavy hand, a little empire-ish, but with good intentions, backed by the good intentions of the Jedi again, led by Luke Skywalker, who does seem it as being wrong. And then you have this whole big thing where, obviously, Han being a Corellian, Wedge Antilles being a Corellian, they're part of the Galactic Alliance, they live on Coruscant. Do they join the Corellians? Do they stick with the Galactic Alliance?
If only we had a Star Wars trilogy, a sequel trilogy that didn't treat us like children and gave us complex, interesting storylines like this told across a 3-movie series.
Yep, exactly.
If fucking only. But no, we get pre-chewed shit.
Yeah, And that's exactly what this is. And
Because it's not about us.
no, it's not.
About getting all those little kids to get their parents to buy them Star Wars toys, and the way you get them in is by giving them something that they can just latch onto.
But the original Star Wars trilogy
doesn't hold up. My nephew has just gotten into Star Wars. He watches the sequel trilogy repeatedly. He's watched the prequels twice. He can get through the original.
I get that, but there was a level of complexity to the original that appealed to us as an aesthetic of the time that, we went out and bought the toys, but wasn't pre-chewed shit. Whereas the current trilogy, if they just updated the aesthetic and the quality of the graphics and all the rest of it that they did, it's all shiny and new and it appeals to a new audience. They didn't need to water it down to a point where it's basically a Disney princess movie.
I would almost say that the sequel trilogy is a little far-fetched for this generation, this younger generation coming through to even understand. They make the First Order out to be the Nazis, which is what they made the Empire out to be. But these kids half of them wouldn't even
have a connection to what the Nazi is.
I mean, this is probably me speaking a little bit out of school too, for the kid that was born in 1981. I had nothing to do with World War II, but
we were born in the kind of the coming out of the Cold War. That was a part of society at the time. Maybe not the Nazis specifically, but certainly the echoes of that kind of oppressive world that we lived in.
As where I think something like this story, which is a civil war within.
Would be far more on point right now.
Exactly. Far more on point than making another Nazi army that was out for galactic conquest.
Yeah.
The Corellians don't want galactic conquest in this. They just want their planet.
Yep.
They just want their planet. They want to have a fleet to defend their planet. They're not going out. They don't want to
protectionist.
Conquer the universe.
Very nationalist.
And the Galactic Alliance. That's what.
So which ones are the Republicans in the story?
Well, the Galactic Alliance, because they're heavy-handed coming in on the Corellians, who are very free-thinking and very fun-loving cowboys.
It's just ironic that it's flipped in the US, right? Because the Republicans are anyway.
Yeah, but the Galactic Alliance, they're coming in military-wise. They're coming in heavy-handed military-wise, as the Corellians aren't. They just want to be left alone. Kind of like the liberals, the American liberals, they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Yep.
They want to enforce their will on their view on people. But that's what it is. It's not. They don't want to rule the universe. They don't want to wipe people out. They don't want to subjugate other planets or other people.
Yep.
They just
want to do things their way for themselves.
That's exactly, and that's how they word it in there. They want to do things their way. They don't want to have the Galactic Alliance interfering. They had to deal with the Empire, so they don't want to have the Galactic Alliance playing that part as well. And then the forcing Han to pick between his home planet, and then forcing Leia to pick between her, because she's a Jedi in this, to her allegiance to the Galactic Alliance through being a politician, but also being a Jedi Knight, or a Jedi Master. Is she a Jedi Master or a Jedi Knight? I can't remember. And then both Han's kids are Jedi Knights.
Yep.
So he's got all that tie to the Jedi Order. So it's family against family. Wedge Antilles, his daughter is a pilot in the Galactic Alliance, and he's from Corellia, and where he ends up in that side of the war.
At least we can read about it, right? Like there's a nice, complex, interesting storyline set in that universe with an IP.
And I think the one thing they took from this, and they did very well not very well, they did to a certain extent well in the sequels, was, why change his name to Ben? Why not just fucking leave it as Jason Solo?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Wasn't it was, I thought in the books it was Ben Solo, but his nickname was Ben.
No, Ben Skywalker. So
that's it. Yeah,
Ben is Luke and Mara's son.
Yep.
And Jason and
Janiyah,
other and they had Anakin too, but Anakin died in the previous war. So Ben is Jason's apprentice.
Yeah.
So Ben is 13 and Jason's early 20s, which is what Kylo Ren was. And it is a complex fall to the dark side.
Yep.
And he goes for very, very many complex reasons. He's not just, oh, well, I hate this. He actually goes for almost...
It's so unfair.
Yeah, he goes for... Well, I mean, I'm only a little bit into the second book, but he talks about how Sith ways could be better than the Jedi ways because it's more ordered, but not in an evil way. That was just how Palpatine decided to take that
Right.
to take that dark side, and this is his descent into that way.
It's communism, but it's good communism.
That's exactly it. That's
Yeah.
a bang on analogy for it. It's really good. So, Karen Travis, I've just started the second book. Every second chapter follows Boba Fett, and where he's up to. He's obviously out of the Sarlacc pit many years ago, but he has a lot of tumors growing in him through. They haven't actually explained as to why he's dying from these tumors. Goes back to Camino to try and get
Heal himself.
the Kaminoans to get it to heal him. Ton Wee, the Kaminoan from episode 2, has left Camino, and then they start talking about Kosai from the Republic Commandos, and then there's a lot of references to Kal Skirata and everything from the Republic Commando series. So, and that's the chapter that I left last night. So I'm going to be very, very interested to see who shows up going down that line. And because they talk a lot about Kosai and what happened to her research, because that was the big thing on stopping the aging in the clones. And she might have an answer to Boba's, even though he's not artificially aged, but she was a good, great geneticist, and so was Ton Wee. So he's now out to find these two Kaminoans. So.
Yeah, cool. You said that you had a comment on what I was saying last episode about Peter F. Hamilton.
I'm very talking heavy, but this run, do you want to open that?
Yep. Well, you did miss an episode.
I did, and that was my huge apology to that. But you guys covered it fairly well. Exactly what happened, pulling off and doing a massive U-turn and then getting back on the freeway.
So we're doing another alcoholic beverage, are we?
This is the Cronulla Beer Co. Next Level XPA.
Cool.
I'm assuming they're from Cronulla.
Yes.
Hey, look at that. They're from Cronulla.
We've got one more non-alcoholic, don't we?
We do. We've got the 2 stouts. So the
cool.
big stout time, or not the big. What is it? It's not big stout time.
I don't know.
I know it is.
It's the BruChocs by Big Shed.
Chocolate orange.
The little Adelaide lolly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Peter F. Hamilton comment I had, you were talking about salvation, and I was waiting for you to talk about it. But my favourite thing, and you spoke obviously in amazing depth. Well, not
without the spoilers.
Without the spoilers, about how he creates worlds, and I haven't read that series that you spoke strongly about. But the Salvation series, the thing that I love the most is the quantum entanglement tunnels, and how the discovery of quantum entanglement changed the world. And I mean, it would. So there's no more cars. So you go to basically a train station. You follow your little HUD.
Yep.
And
which
say
is basically GPS.
Yeah, it
for
is,
the head.
So you tell it you want to go to work. It tells you, okay, go to this hub station, which has got all the quantum entanglement gates.
Yep.
Walk through gate
Portals.
7. They're portals, but they're not. They are portals, but there's no change in.
You're not demolecularized.
No, you're literally just stepping. You're walking through a doorway. There's literally no difference between walking through a normal house door.
It's literally a wormhole.
Monsters Inc.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's Monsters Inc.
Yep.
And so you walk there, and then you might go from Sydney to London, and then London to Shanghai, Shanghai to LA, LA to New York, New York to Belgium, and you might work in Belgium. And so you can live in Sydney and work in Belgium and be there in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is the way that he did it was very similar. And you can, like, obviously Peter is a British writer, and you could tell that portal system was aligned to the road system in Britain, where you have the A1.
I think it's the A1, yeah.
Yeah, and then every side street off the A1 starts at London Circle, which is the A40. The first main arterial off the A1 is the A11, and the next one further away from London is the A12, and then the A13 out until the road ends. And then off the A11, the first side street's the A111, and then 112.
Yeah,
and
sure.
so when he talks about the portal hubs, you step into the London portal hub, and then you step into like the Basingstoke portal from there to get to Basingstoke. So it branches out. But what I love about his brain is, yes, it does change society instantly, obviously, the quantum entanglement, the ability to take a step into another place. But then just his thinking about how you would apply that technology to change the world is just, it's just inspired.
Yeah.
So terraforming Australia, outback Australia, they stick these portal ships.
I wasn't going that deep into it.
Why not?
Yeah, okay.
Fuck it. Portal ships with a big fucking scoop on the front, with a portal on the front that scoops up ice from an ice planet and instantly drops it from hovering portal ships that have a horizontal plane portal, drop the ice into the Australian outback in the desert. And obviously once all the water melts, the clouds, the sun picks up the water, creates clouds. They're terraforming outback Australia. And just the thinking that must go into, like, how does a brain work where you just go, okay, we've invented this technology, this is how it's affected society, what cool shit can we do with it? Even the threading idea of how do you make a 3-meter portal portable? Because obviously you need a piece of physical circuitry that runs in a ring like a Stargate. How do we make a 3-meter portal portable?
And how do you power it? So you drop a fucking sun well in the sun's chromosphere. You drop a mini quantum entanglement portal into a sun, and that's how they power these things.
And he uses portals on the back of the power stations that are floating in midair. So they've got to overcome a continuous pushback. So he creates portal engines that basically open tiny aperture that pushes sun photons out that way, so that you can. That's essentially ship engines.
Yeah.
They're all powered by the sun. So you power all of these portals with the sun power, but you start with a 20 centimeter portal and it's 20 centimeters round, and through that you can put a elongated, like a skinny portal that's half a meter long, but it's only 20 centimeters wide, and then you rotate that and you can push another one through, and you basically, what's he call it? Threading
Something
the
like
portal?
That. Yeah.
And so you can carry around a 20 centimeter circle and end up with a 3-meter portal, no matter where you are. So I love that guy.
And then if we're going a little bit further in, there's a murder mystery element, like basically a detective noir story within this, and it happens within what they call a portal home, and there's no physical door into the central part of this apartment. And I think the central apartment is in New York.
Yeah.
And you walk in through a portal into the home, and then every bedroom off it is in another country.
Right.
So the kid's bedroom is overlooking the skyline of Shanghai. And then the master bedroom is on a beach in the Bahamas. And because
one of the rooms, I'm sure, the sitting room or something was in Luna. There was
something like that. Yeah,
a spherical kind of habitat on the moon.
Yeah, okay.
It was one of the rooms, and there was another one in Mars, I think.
There was 4 or 5 different rooms.
Yeah,
and it's once again that beautiful creativity, and he sets it all within this gruesome murder mystery where they're following the murderer's path through each room, killing the people in the house with an axe. And
so there were 2 sets of bad guys. There was 2 sets of bad guys plus obviously the owners of the portal. And we've got to figure out what the fuck happened.
Yeah, right.
And Salvation as a series is told in that style of it opens with a bunch of guys that there's a lot of tension between the characters in a fixed environment because they're stuck on essentially traveling together. They're stuck on, assume it's a train. It's not a train, but assume it's a train. And then most of the book is given over to short stories about each individual's past and how they cross paths with some of the other people on the train before it gets to the kind of the point. And then in amongst all of that, you've got another whole set of chapters that are set 1,000. You assume 1,000 years in the future, and mankind is now all spread all over the universe, but they're running from something. So
and all the people that are on the train, they're in that 1,000 years in the future, they're referred to as Saint such and such, Saint such and such. So you get this idea that, okay, these people are obviously incredibly important.
And they're also heading towards destiny.
Yeah. And
throughout the series throughout the stories in that first book.
That's exactly it, yeah.
To go from just being Joe to Saint Joe, and you know that they're going to be Saint Joe, and you know they're heading somewhere with all the other guys that are turning into saints.
And they're horribly flawed people too.
Oh, they are
most of them.
broken people. But you never find out what makes them saints until the end of the third book.
Yeah.
And it's mind-blowingly good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Amazingly good. That Cronulla beer, I bought that just because we got given a 6-pack of that from one of the TAFE students who's from Cronulla Brewing Beer Company, and I just like it.
It's not bad.
It's just
an XPA.
It's a really nice, light, fruity, hoppy XPA. Yeah. That's why I bought that. I thought it might
a lot
just
of
be
peel
nice
in it. I get a lot of rind.
Yeah.
It is the really nailing what you'd want to drink when you were sitting down on Cronulla Beach.
Yeah.
Like that's its target audience, like for the local crowd, and it's really nailing that. Which is like Cronulla's not the craftiest area, so like.
And I think their branding's on point too.
Yeah, it's simple. Yeah.
It screams beach.
It does.
It's absolutely screams beach.
Got about 7 minutes. Did you have any topics, Tom?
I have an entire list, Peter, but I was letting Dan catch up.
Yeah,
hasn't had a chance to talk.
Don't apologise.
It's
going to be a long episode, folks, so strap in.
Well, we've got 2 more beers. I don't know if you'd seen, Peter, but there was some PlayStation news in the last day or two.
They're going to do black controllers, yay, and a new PlayStation 2.
VR 2.
Oh, I didn't see any PSVR 2 updates.
Oh, Peter, I have a treat for you. Oh,
but I saw
me.
that while no one can buy stock of PlayStation 5s.
They're looking at changing the chip that goes into the PS5.
Yes, but while they're still running, you still can't buy it for love or money unless you...
No, you can.
You spend triple the money from the second hit.
No, I know that EB and JB, the people have walked into stores today. A guy put it up on Facebook the day I saw in one of the groups I'm in. He walked into the EB games at Marrickville and they had a spare...
But they're already talking about a second edition PS5.
Well, that's because of the lack of
chipset.
Lack of chips.
Right.
But the PSVR 2 details that they put out today, I don't know if you've seen the
orbs.
The orb controllers they're putting for them.
Yep.
They're going to have haptic feedback.
Yep. That was already announced.
They're looking at the eye tracking. There was all this talk about the eye tracking and the inside having a 4K view.
Ooh.
Wow.
That's the one I thought would get. Yeah.
But the original PSVR doesn't...
That would make me so fucking sick.
It's just going to make you sick faster, Dan. I mean, it's an inevitable outcome. But I don't think the resolution was the issue in the PSVR. I think it was the graphics quality they could pump into the headset fast enough. So I don't know if 4K is really going to make that much of a difference. It's not pixel depth. I can't remember the word for it, but I don't actually think the problem is with the resolution of the headset. I think the problem is...
The way they were talking about it in this article, and it was pretty light on the details, but it was using the way they were going to track your eyes, they would be able to resolute the stuff that's directly in front of you better while taking some of that processing from the peripheral that you wouldn't need to.
Yeah, so it's
just basically smarter usage of...
Yeah, and it's an evolution of the traditional... rendering engines that we've all experienced where, distant scenery isn't rendered at the same high resolution as when you walk up to it. So there's not going to be grass on the mountain that's in the background because the grass would be invisible anyway. So why waste the processing power rendering it? This is the same with it'll track where you're looking and everything outside of your direct focal vision will be rendered at a lower resolution. But if you look there, it'll be rendered at full resolution. It's a natural evolution of that, and it saves a lot of processing power. They've been talking about doing that for a while.
Yeah, but I think this was more like confirming that that's what they were doing.
Yeah, okay. I just think, look, playing Skyrim VR is still the VR title that I've played all the way through and fucking loved. And to me, it was blocky because the polygon count on the actual models was low. And if you played it without VR, the texture quality and the polygon count was extremely high. So I don't think it's a resolution of the physical goggles. I think it's a processing power issue. So it'd be interesting to see what they do. And I'm glad they're still investing.
Wouldn't that be solved with the PS5?
Yeah, I mean, it was a quantum leap in processor power, certainly.
It has been fun. I've been playing Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, which was a game that was released on the PS3. And the TH Nordic there was a whole big thing about it when it came out. The guy who kind of led the project on that game. Emma actually used to run the camp that his son went to.
Okay.
Back in Boston, and the state of Rhode Island had gotten behind this game, and essentially there was a big money issue. The state of Rhode Island was just
Fronted the cash.
and then they were like, "You're bankrupt," and so they basically you couldn't buy this game for you could find it, but they tried to destroy all copies and took all the licensing back, stripped it off every online store.
Wow.
And it gained this really cult following, obviously, because you couldn't get it, so people wanted it.
Yeah.
And they've now decided to finally let another studio take a crack at it. TH Nordic are the guys who brought Darksiders and all those games.
Yep.
But it's had a slight graphical upgrade, but it's still, I'm using a PS5 to essentially play a PS3 game. And you can tell. But it was funny because we were talking about the draw distances, because Emma was like, I was trying to explain to her, she's like, she actually asked, do you like playing the game with these graphics? And I was like, well, they haven't built the game again from the ground up. That would take too much money and investment and stuff.
Yeah.
But just the draw distance you see in this being a PS3 title, even with the PS5 processing power, it's just it's like
It
from
processes junk really, really fast.
yeah, and then it's real foggy. It's real foggy after a couple of meters. Just everything's just real foggy in that forest. Yeah, no.
But I mean, I've gone back and played some original Amiga games emulated on PCs, and the graphics are Amiga graphics from fucking the 80s, and the gameplay still trumps the graphics every fucking day of the week.
I mean, it's like Jedi Knight 2.
Dungeon Master, Black Vault,
Yeah.
old
you can
school
overcome
games.
that stuff. If the gameplay is...
That was the focus back then,
It's
though.
great. Yeah,
because they didn't have the ability to push the boundary on graphics very quickly, so they had to come up with in-depth storylines to stand out from their competition, and they did. And these days, it's all about who's got the shiniest graphics.
You look
Anyway.
at old things like Mansions of Madness. Oh, God, what was the Day of the Tentacle prequel?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You can think about it while we take a quick break.
Okay.
After this message from our sponsors.
we definitely don't have any sponsors, so that last cut was pretty useless.
And it was Maniac Mansion that I couldn't think of.
Manic Mansion.
Maniac Mansion.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure, it's Maniac Mansion.
I don't like it that I have to get Tom to hit the record button just before I hit the record button on the camera so that we've got a 30-minute countdown before the break, because Tom never gives me a fucking chance to sit down and put my headset on before he starts yakking.
Nope.
So you always catch me fucking a non-alcoholic stout. This is going to be interesting. Followed by-
He's doing the non-alcoholic one first.
Well, we did just do 2 alcoholic beers, so I thought it would be nice to break it up. This is the Big Drop Brewing Co. Again, funny that. Galactic Milk Stout. It's 0.5 alcohol volume.
Probably should have rinsed the glasses between the... Oh, no, we didn't do the sour. We did the XPA.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yes, this contains... Daniel, if you'd like to pass me your glass, I'll pour for you.
Who's Daniel?
Oh, quite. It's my little brother. His name is actually Daniel. Water, barley, lactose, oats, rye, hops, yeast, and cacao nibs.
I'm assuming Galactic Hops.
No. Bramling Cross,
Okay.
Bramling Cross. Yeah, okay.
which I just looked up because I'd never heard of that
It's
before.
a very home brewer. Nobody uses it. So, I'm pretty sure it's an English hop.
Yes, yeah. So do you want some more of this?
Smells like a stout.
Let me try it first.
Smells like a stout. Shitty head retention once again.
Yeah, I mean, it's fine.
It's like a...
Ooh, that's a cold press, like a cold brew coffee.
Coffee. Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
With a little bit of chocolate milk in the end.
Yeah, there's definitely sort of chocolate
I was
milk
about to say
character
it
there.
tastes like a dark chocolate, but carbonated, carbonated dark chocolate
Yeah.
milkshake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's drinkable.
It's fine. Yeah.
I think it's my pick out of the 3.
No, I definitely go that pale.
Yeah, me too.
Definitely go that pale.
It's fine. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
It's fine.
Has anyone else seen Mortal Kombat?
no.
No.
Really want to.
Oh, just go treat yourself. It's just fucking goofy fun.
Yeah, just a popcorn movie.
Oh, it's just so graphically violent.
Yeah.
If you're free Saturday, I am.
No, I'm not.
Damn.
Not this weekend.
No date for
Unfortunately.
Peter.
Girlfriend.
I said to Pete, we'll go and see it because Louise doesn't want to see it. So.
Oh, yeah, Emma didn't want to see it, but I took one of the other managers from the bank. I took her to go see it, and I was like, look, it's going to be really action heavy. And we'd planned, we was like, we'll go have a movie.
It's
and then
not
we'll
a
go have
date
dinner.
movie, that's for fucking sure.
No. Although we would definitely think there were dates going on in that cinema. And I was like, okay, that's weird. And she was like, yeah, I don't really get into action films, but I'm interested by the idea of them. She walked out. She was like, holy fucking shit, that was so good. They have lifted some things directly from the game. There are some great little call outs. And Kano is by far the standout character.
Yeah, because he's over the top Aussie, isn't he?
Well, he's an Aussie guy.
Yeah.
But no, just his, yeah.
So very different from the first Mortal Kombat movie that we had 20 years ago almost.
Yeah, I guess.
But
Yeah, it probably was actually. We were in high school, I'm pretty sure.
It's just, and it won't sort of give away anything that happens in the scene, but just hearing him, one of the first things where you're like, oh, this is going to be really game heavy is when he's holding the heart of someone he's ripped out and he just goes, Kano wins. In this really thick Aussie accent. And it was just like, fuck yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, I really want to see it. I'm excited to see it. And even releasing the first 7 minutes as a trailer was a brilliant move. And it's very, and I hope that stylistically it does move through the spectrum, but it felt very old school Japanese martial arts, martial arts movie.
I didn't see the 7 minutes. So.
Oh, really? The sequence between
I heard Tom tell you to watch it.
Scorpion and Sub-Zero was brilliant.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that fucking Scorpion couldn't understand the Chinese that Sub-Zero was talking in.
Yeah.
But then Sub-Zero could speak Chinese as well. So
Japanese as well.
Japanese. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yes. This non-alcoholic beer is going to my head. Might be the other 11 that we've had.
Oh, I think that some of the trailer looks great. Some of the action in the trailer looks great. The Sub-Zero freezing the bullet and Jax's gun, and I think Scorpion looks awesome. The main character guy, is he actually a character from the game?
I think he's from one of the newer games.
Okay, but his goldy shirt thing looks good.
Yeah,
it looks good. It just looked
I
video
haven't
gaming.
seen that trailer.
The graphics, the visual effects, I should say, are fantastic. Yeah,
I'm not sure what one I saw that on, but yeah,
I can't remember his name. What's the dude with the hat?
Raiden?
Not Raiden. No,
you preempted that
sorry,
one.
I knew he was going to say it before. No, he's got the blade,
razor blade hat.
blazer hat. He has one of the best kills in the entire fucking thing.
Yeah, one of my friends told me he covered his son's eyes when that when that
so
one happened.
good.
Yeah,
so
definitely not one to bring the missus to.
He told me what happened on that fatality.
Yeah.
So
And it is. And I'm pretty sure at one point you hear the guy go, fatality. You're just like, toasty.
slightly in the background.
Yeah. Yeah, there's some great little things in the back. Yeah, don't bother trying to understand the story. Just go for the kills.
Never really that much of a story.
No, they try and put one in and they talk about the destiny of the characters and you're just like, just kill some people, please.
They didn't wipe out too many characters into running into a sequel, did they?
No, but they're leaning towards a sequel. I think the guy who plays Sub-Zero there was a thing in his contract that he if it made enough money he was bound to do a sequel. So
okay.
There you go. I imagine they'll find a way to bring him back.
But there was multiple Sub-Zeros through the arcs anyway, wasn't there? It was the brother's son's cousin of something.
Ex-roommates, dogs, friends, older, yeah. Have you, speaking of trailers, we've all seen the Venom 2
Let There Be Carnage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's... I really enjoyed the original Venom movie.
I only rewatched it again the other day.
I need to it's one of the only...
It's on Netflix now.
Yeah, okay. It's one of the only
One of my
Marvel
friends was
movies.
watching it the other day and it is one of those great ones. And I saw this actually came up on Instagram as a little post and it was it's one of the great films because you expect at some point that Tom Hardy goes from being this sweaty, sleep-deprived, looks like he's dying dude to rip off his shirt and have the moment. But he never does.
He never does. No, he's always the sweaty guy.
Yeah, it's just that's so to the character.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to it. And it's one of the only Marvel kind of extended universe movies I haven't forced the missus to watch. We sat down and watched every MCU movie other than Far From Home. Yeah, we got to Endgame and we needed a break because it's a lot.
You only had one left.
I know.
You got all the way to Endgame and you had one left and you couldn't watch the last one.
It wasn't my call.
Fair enough.
Back to like Grey's Anatomy or whatever it is that she's watching. But yeah, we need to watch Venom as well.
Yeah, I mean, rewatching it's only a couple of years old. There's some dodgy special effects in there. There's some dodgy green
it was a pretty
screen.
low budget.
Yeah, I know, but just something.
Was it a Sony movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But
Yeah, it's Sony.
They make good TVs, but shithouse movies.
the motorbike chase sequence goes for way too long, and there's far too many close up of Tom Hardy on a bad green screen.
Yeah.
But they could have just left it at mostly wide shots.
Yeah.
And it would have been.
You could say the same thing
better.
for every Transformers movie too. I mean,
But I don't like them either. So
let's get zoom up ridiculously close and shake the shit out of the camera to convince you the special effects are real.
yeah, it was probably more
I've still never seen Bumblebee.
the lighting against him and the green screen wasn't quite
just
right.
Add a slightly more kiddier tone to the other Transformers films.
Yeah.
That's Bumblebee.
I'm pretty sure I never saw the last Transformers film either.
What was the fourth one?
I don't remember. There was the one that
I'm not.
There was the one that
I
I just remember
Prime-
they let
The Last Night.
John.
Yeah, I saw that one. There was one more after that, wasn't there?
Was it Age of Extinction?
Yeah. They did.
that was before that, 'cause
Last Night was the last one.
That
I'm
was
pretty
it.
sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
There's Transformers, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah, where they brought
Last
the
Night.
Dinobots in.
Yeah, Last Night.
Yeah. Last night it's like
Next, we're going to have the GoBot movies.
GoBots.
no one in
It's the keynote of Transformers, bro.
Bumblebee was fine. I probably won't watch it again, but it was the most enjoyable out of them.
Oh, okay. Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
I'll have to watch it.
yeah, good character model on Bumblebee.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
much better than the Michael Bay.
Does he? Can he actually speak, or is he still? Okay.
No, well, he doesn't even speak through the radio on this one.
Oh,
I don't think in Bumblebee, or it does.
Maybe he starts to at the end. Yeah,
middle
something
end
like
of
that.
movie. Yeah,
Yeah,
he
okay.
starts doing it, but he's just doing his little.
they still trying to just sell Camaros for the fucking movie.
Digital dog. No, because it's in the 80s. He's a
Oh,
bumble. He's a
it's
bumblebee.
actually-
He's a beetle.
beetle.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
a beetle.
Yeah, cool. All right.
Yep, definitely. So
Cool. Last beer of the
Last
night.
beer of the night. This is, it's on its side. Damn it. At Big Shed, we recognise how hard it can be to thrive as a small business. Robin Men's is one such company that has stood the test of time. As a mark of respect, we have partnered to release our homage to the mighty BruChocs, a hearty chocolate stout infused with Fru, the delicious apricot and peach heart of a BruChocs. Enjoy and raise a glass to a jewel in South Australia's crown.
Cool.
6% ABV.
Big Shed do a lot of like collabs with food companies, don't they? I'm fairly certain we've had a few before.
oh wow, that was a very weird pour.
Zero carbonation.
There's
head.
a lot of carbonation, just not a lot of head retention. The bubbles kind of petered out real quick. Yeah, see, it's almost soft drink like.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the Fru.
Yeah, there could be something
Your kung
on that
fu
side of it.
fruit is strong.
Oh, it smells nice. That fruity character. Well,
It's a fruity stout.
oh, CO2 up the nose.
We found out where the bubbles went.
Wow.
Spicy meatball.
Yeah, that orangey, chocolatey
Yeah,
character comes through.
yeah.
It's nice. Dead air.
Oh,
Wow.
That's really good.
That wasn't what I expected.
That's really good.
It's a dark sour.
Yeah. It's exactly what it really, really malty. But you do get that tartness out of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of tartness there.
Apricots through the wazoo.
That is really tasty.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
And I'm not usually a big fan of anything choc orange. Like I don't really
There's
go
a lot of chocolate though. You get that proper chocolate sweetness.
Yeah.
What a top beer to end the night on.
Wow, that really threw me off. I was expecting a stout and
Didn't get one.
it wasn't a stout. No, that's super interesting though. Super interesting. That fruit. It's just a really... I remember having one of the lollies. And I'm assuming that's what they taste like.
I imagine it would be.
I think we might
Dried apricots dipped in chocolate.
Oh, is that all they are? Is dried apricots?
Well, he said apricot. It said apricot and peach, I think, on the side.
Yeah, it says apricot and peach. Yeah, I didn't think it was quite that...
I'm glad I saved that for the podcast.
Quite that simple.
But at the same time, I'm disappointed that I don't get a whole can of it.
A whole can of it, yeah.
Well, you know where to get it.
True.
It's,
Just up the road around the corner.
Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting. Good balance of the flavours for what it is. Once again, it said stout, so I was expecting a stout, but that's not.
Yeah, it's definitely more... Like, you get that stoutness, but yeah, I see what you mean, like that dark sour. But, yes. I've got a little quick topic of some games I've just recently finished.
God, you've got a lot of time to play video games.
No, I just don't sleep enough.
Fair.
So I played through, and these were short games. I played through Bug Snacks, which was weird. And
fucking hell, that looks weird.
It's weird, but delightful. Very good story-driven game. I then followed it up by playing possibly one of the stupidest games I've ever played, but it was so enjoyable. It's Man Eater. Where
the Great White Shark. Yep.
So you start as it's set in like definitely Florida. And you...
the Keys.
Yeah, you start as a baby shark in like the swamp, and then you just get told, eat everything. So there's all these like fish swimming around, like you're constantly underwater, and then you just go around and eat everything till you can build up. I went from being, I think I was like...
A guppy.
I was a guppy, which was like 0.8 of a meter or something like that's how long it was. I ended up being like a 9-meter shark with bone armor. Like, it's great.
Have you seen anything on it?
No.
Because you evolve and then you pick your evolution and then you grow this armor on the outside of you.
Yeah, so you get like this. You can get electric armor, shadow armor, or bone armor. And they obviously have different perks for whatever you want to do. I ended up picking the shadow because it was just, you just become quick. But like there's several different regions in the area you are, and they all have like a different apex predator in them. So there's obviously a giant crocodile in the swamp area, but then you end up in deep ocean, like out in the Gulf.
Give me a giant squid.
No, better, you fight a giant sperm whale.
Oh wow!
But it's great as you're fighting these animals. It's not like just whittling down a health bar. Like the way they show it is like. So I was fighting this alligator, and the first one I fought, and I was like, hang on, the character model of that's changed. And you actually chomp off its like arms and legs. And so it's just this giant thing swimming through.
Alligator snake.
Dark.
Yeah. And then you do all sorts of things. Then there's all these collectibles. But the greatest part of it was there were these like one part of the thing one of the collectibles is you swim up and you have to eat this like underwater like road sign, and then it'll cut back, and it's all set like it's part of like a Netflix like doco show.
Oh, okay.
The show is called Man Eater, and it's originally following the fisherman, but then it starts like it switches and it's all about your shark. But then it's got this like really over the top like American voiceover like TV guy. And like you find SpongeBob's house and like all these other things. Like there's so many pop culture references. It's so rich in that. It was great. And it was great little just, eating everything. And then I went to a...
Good little time waster.
Good little time waster. And then I went to another little... I wouldn't say it's a time waster. It was just another more storage-driven one. It's called Concrete Genie.
Yeah. I've got that on my list.
Which was one of the PS Plus ones. Yeah. And you play a kid who gets essentially like a magic paintbrush that can bring his like drawings kind of to life.
Yeah. Was that not an advertised launch title for PS5? I'm sure it was in the last E3 before PS5.
It was it was PS4. It's a PS4 game.
Okay. Maybe it was in the last E3 before PS5, but it was for PS4.
Might have been. Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's very street art culture, right?
Yeah.
Graffiti culture.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, you have to bring this town back to life by painting the walls.
And from memory, the graphics or the cartoon style reminded me a lot of like the Gorillaz Inc. Cover art.
Yeah.
Cool.
But both those games all three of them, like the last three I played, have been under 15 hours each to go from start to platinum. Like,
Cool.
Wow.
and that's with stopping. Like, if you just played the stories are like 6 hours each. But very enjoyable. And now I'm on to Kingdoms, and it's what do they say? It's like minimum 80 hours to platinum that one. So I needed a break from big games.
Seems a lot until you put it up against like an AC game where it's
Well, all the games I've been playing recently have been big titles, big worlds. So it's like it's nice
need
to
a palate
stop.
cleanser.
It was essentially these were little palate cleansers, but they were very enjoyable, and I'm going to intend to do more of them. I think.
Yeah, I think Concrete Genie's definitely. Well, I mean, I've got it in my library, so because I whacked
highly
it in
recommend.
there. Yeah.
I need a new game. I want to play BG3, Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
But is that a PS title? Or
It
is
will
it
be.
PC
It
only?
will be.
Yeah,
it will
okay.
be. It was on my list, but that's a long conversation. That one. It's early access on PC only.
Yeah, okay.
But they've said the original release was for PlayStation was September, October this year, and I mean it's getting close.
Yeah.
And
I mean, fuck, we're almost halfway through 2021.
no, I don't mean the timeline. I mean the
game,
the quality of the game.
Yeah, okay.
And it's excellent. I mean, it's made by Larian Studios, the same guys who made Divinity. It's definitely in that same vein.
Yep.
But there is definitely things that I love about Divinity that aren't in Baldur's Gate 3, and there's things that I love about Baldur's Gate 3 that aren't in Divinity.
They've said that BG3 is a lot closer to the pen and paper rule set for
there's a couple,
D&D 5th edition.
There's a couple of rules that I think they've actually missed. Not missed, but they've taken them out for a specific reason. You only get a move and an action.
Right.
You can't use your move as an action if you're already close enough to an enemy.
Can you double move?
No, you can dash and double. So you can use an action to make the dash and double move.
So that is D&D 5th edition rules. You can't have two actions.
I'm sure you can.
No.
I'm sure you can.
Move and action or move and dash.
Okay.
Now, there's a lot of variations. So like if you're playing a rogue character, you can do certain actions as sub-actions.
There's bonus actions. There's definitely bonus actions in there.
Sorry.
That
Sounds like a true implementation of D&D 5th.
I think 99% of it, or probably is.
But you miss the interactions between the elements, don't you, in Divinity?
Well, definitely the interactions of the elements and the environmental usage. Yeah. There's a lot more environmental, the ability to use environmental. So make it rain, hit it with lightning. But you can't do that in...
Because it's not a 5th mechanic. It's not a D&D mechanic.
Well, it is there and you can do it, but you can't do it as well as you can do it in Divinity because you can't make it rain and hit it with lightning in one hit.
Yeah, okay.
Because they're both actions.
Yeah. Right.
So that you kind of, where you go in Divinity and you can pre-plan, okay, well, half the time you pre-plan gets screwed up by the previous character anyway. But you can pre-plan, I'm going to do this and then... I can do these two actions in this one go.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something fucking cool.
Yeah.
As where I kind of miss that kind of cool element in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And getting out of that mindset is quite difficult to...
I've got a craving for an old school fantasy, like pen and paper style game, like Divinity, or I don't know, like like a Star Citizen on PlayStation 5. Something real science fiction, open world exploration, but in an MMO kind of world.
I'd love a science fiction version of this. It's really what's missing. I played, because I had that hankering as well, so I played Wasteland.
Yep.
Which...
I've never played the Wasteland series.
Not really science fiction. It's kind of more
Borderland,
more Mad Maxy. But Baldur's Gate 3, it's a great game. It's amazing. The dialogue, it's very... Because D&D is obviously very heavy on the dialogue side of it, so they've obviously put a huge amount of effort to using your abilities.
Even a pre-release, apparently.
Dice rolls.
Even though it's a pre-release, like an early release, they were saying there's more dialogue in the early access version than there is in the final version of Divinity 2.
100%, I completely believe that, because you get so many options just for the straight-up dialogue, but it brings you into watching the conversation. As with Divinity, you're always looking down.
Yeah.
You could zoom in to a certain extent, but as soon as you go into dialogue at this, it's cinematic.
Okay.
So the NPC is talking to you, and when it's your turn, it flicks to them.
Yep.
If one of your other party talks, the camera flicks to them.
Yeah,
and
cool.
when there's that sort of interaction, you pick your party. So it's very much a blend of original Dragon Age and Divinity.
Yeah, okay.
That is 100% it is. Your long rest camp has all of your NPCs that you can use in your party, but you can only have 4 in your party.
And you were saying you have
5,
to,
6.
and you were saying it's got a full implementation of the magic system from D&D 5th, so you
5th
have to
edition.
memorize the spells and
You got to pick your memory,
and the
you got
spells that
slots.
you know aren't necessarily the same as which spell slots you've consumed. So if you know Fireball, you can have 2 slots filled with Fireball, but you might know 50 other spells.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, so your memory, you're limited to whatever your class says you can memorize. So if you can memorize 7 spells, but you might know 20.
Yeah.
So you've got to specifically pick, what am I going to think I'm going to do today? What am I going to
But
encounter?
I always liked that about D&D, though. You had to plan ahead. You had to decide what you were going to be or the type of character you were going to be. And usually in a pen and paper, you'd be encouraged to come up with some sort of reason behind why you favor fire over water spells. Maybe you had some sort of your sister drowned when you were growing up or something random like that. But
the only thing that I miss, because I very much went into it with a D&D mindset, in that you can, when you're talking to somebody who can come up with the reaction to your action, you kind of go, well, I want to do this because I should be able to do this.
Yeah.
But it's not implemented in the game because obviously there has to be rules and boundaries in play.
Yeah.
But that's
so
kind
it
of...
made you miss playing D&D pen and paper.
Oh, 100%. But it's also why I went in and played it, because I did miss playing that pen and paper.
Yeah.
And it definitely scratches that itch. With the...
If only there were another 100 hours a week.
I know, exactly.
We could go back to playing those games, right?
It does a great job. And the character models are beautiful. I'm playing a druid, a drow, a dark elf druid. You've got the wild form, so I've got several different wild forms you can go to. You can use certain environmental elements. It is very good, and when the full access comes, it's going to be fucking amazing.
Yeah, cool.
Did you ever watch that intro to it?
No.
Oh my God. I think it is almost hands down the best intro I've ever seen to a game.
Okay.
It was absolutely fucking breathtaking. Yeah. Just the Mind Flayer ship jumping through portals to go to different realms, and the sound design. So the Mind Flayer ship, because they're like, Mind Flayers are, for people who don't know, are kind of Cthulhu-esque little bat wings. They're like squiddy.
Yeah.
Squiddy tentacle face and little bat wings. And all of their technology is organic. And so they fly these massive organic ships, spacecraft, and then the control panel to activate like this portal jump, he pulls 2 tentacles together and they intertwine like the Na'vi dreadlocks out of Avatar.
Yep.
So the little bits come out and they intertwine, and he like strums it with a finger, and it's like a bass string, lets out this dong, and the portal opens in front of the ship and it goes through, and then all hell breaks loose when the red dragon riding Githyanki, we do the mortal enemies of the Mind Flayers, start taking out this Mind Flayer ship, and they end up with a fucking hell dimension, and
Jesus.
And then you start playing, you're in the Mind Flayer ship. It's no spoilers, it's the first 10 seconds of the game. You're in the Mind Flayer ship, and the whole tutorial area is the Mind Flayer ship is being attacked by the Githyanki and the little demon imps from hell that they're in. But the ship's still flying. So you walk out on the deck of this ship, and the fucking Githyanki red dragon riders are coming past, and they're taking people out, and it's great.
Yeah, awesome.
It's great. It's amazing.
I have to watch it.
So
got about 3 minutes left. So has anyone got an interesting time? I mean, I had a 5-second little piece that they've cast, or they've said. So I think it's J.J. Abrams doing the next Superman movie, unless I'm blending 2 stories together. It's possible.
I did hear
he's producing,
he was
but not directing.
somehow involved.
Yeah, so he's producing, he's not directing. They're still looking for a director, but they have said that they're casting for a black Superman.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan. They've talked about it.
That would be a good choice.
Yeah,
because he's cut as fuck. That would be perfectly suitable. And I think it was Zack Snyder that said it's about fucking time.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting and it'd be different.
Well, I think that's what JJ said. He said, I won't direct it. I don't think it would be appropriate.
Yeah.
For him to direct it, he's like, it needs to be a black director directing a black superhero.
Yeah, and in fact, I think one of the writers that is set to pen it is the writer from Black Panther.
Yeah, okay.
So, and one of the things I wanted to say about the Falcon and Winter Soldier, I'm going to end up eating up the last of our minutes. Sorry about that. They did the treatment of African American social structures and some of the struggles. They dealt with that really elegantly and probably in one of the best ways I've seen on TV. There's references to the black struggle in America, but it's not we're an oppressed people and therefore we should carry a cross, which you do see sometimes in movies. It's too heavy and it's designed to make you feel almost guilt. It's designed to make you be sensitive to the issues, but also to feel guilty about those issues. And I think there's a place for that if you're in America. But as a white boy in Australia, some of it can come off as a little bit too heavy and you don't really connect the way that I think you're supposed to. The way that they deal with it in this, it deals with it well without any of that guilt build up in it. You know, there's a scene right in the first episode, I think it is, that Falcon's walking through some back streets in, I think it might be New Orleans or something like that. It's a black neighborhood, and there's a boy sitting on the side of the road playing with his mate, and he says, "Oh, look, it's Falcon. It's the black superhero." And he said, "I'm just a superhero. I don't know why I have to be called black. Why is that even relevant?" And I just think that's a really cool way to deal with it. And then they deal with the oppression of the black man in the 60s or the 50s or whenever the
50s
original,
and 60s,
yeah. And Falcon kind of pushes back against, okay, well, I'm sorry you went through that struggle and it's horrible that we had to deal with that, but I'm not carrying that on as the next generation. I'm not carrying your cross. I just thought it was really well handled. We might go to another segment or we might not, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think there's been a black Superman in the comic books for years. He's just from a different Earth.
Yeah.
I think it would be great. I think
And that's what
awesome.
they're doing now. They're doing one-shot movies for a while for DC, which I think is a cool move.
And
It's a good move.
If they built up several of those multi-universes and then came back and did Crisis on Infinite Earths in a cinema,
sick.
I mean, why not? Why not? And then fucking pair him, Michael B.
We're out of
Jordan up with Henry Cavill.
Lost the video.
Bye.
Yeah, we've lost video, so bye.
Thank you for listening / watching up until the point where the camera died. It's been real.